The Commanders have 29 free agents that they have to figure out whether or not they're going to re-sign them. I've got my top 5, and I think you're going to be surprised at some of them who are in, some of them who are out. Give them to you right here in our top 5, right now on Ref the District. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to this episode of Ref the District. I am the Stoner. This is part of our top 5 off-season list. We have got some fantastic content for you all. And in this particular one, this top 5 list, we're going to look at Washington's own free agents and whether or not they should sign some of them and not sign others. I'm going to give you my top 5 list of the guys I think that they should re-sign. That doesn't mean all the guys I'm leaving off that they shouldn't re-sign them, but I'm just kind of giving you my top 5 priorities. So this is going to be my list. You're probably not going to like some of it. I will tell you that right now, but if you don't, that's fine. Go ahead and leave a comment. But whatever you do, make sure you hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. I just got a fresh cut. I'm feeling good about the offseason. The entire NFL is now finally on the offseason. The Super Bowl is behind us. And now we can start looking forward to free agency. The new year, the NFL's new year is coming up soon. So you got free agency, who you're going to sign on your team, who you're going to sign from other teams, the draft, training camps and mini camps and rookie camps. And man, the NFL never stops. And here at Ref the District, we don't either. So if you like the new cut, that Stoner's got going on here, hit the like button. And if you don't like it, hit the like button anyway. But let's get right to that list here. And again, appreciate everybody who's here. Like, subscribe, and if you're listening on audio, make sure you leave a rating and review. But let's get right into it, shall we? 29 of them, as I said in the opening, that the Commanders have, that they have to figure out whether or not they're going to re-sign these guys. And the list is a lot of names are on this list that I've got sitting in front of me. I didn't write the entire list down. I just wrote down the list of the guys and some of them, how much money they make. Because look, all of these guys, how much money they made last year with Washington is not a lot of money. I mean, the most expensive was Bobby Wagner, and that was $6.5 million. So what Adam Peters did in this offseason, picking up these free agents on 1-year deals, and there's a couple guys on 2-year deals and even 3-year deals. But these guys on these 1-year deals, man, did they really pan out for this organization. And really, everything that he touched turned to gold. I'll say the only free agent that really backfired or didn't really backfire, just didn't help, was Mike Davis, the corner. He had some bad games. He just wasn't very good, right? So that was really the only guy that I could find. But listen to some of the guys on the list. Guys like Donte Fowler, who had double-digit sacks. Cleveland Farrell, KJ Osborne, whatever. I don't even know if he even saw the field. But guys like Jeremy Chinn and Marcus Mariota, Noah Brown, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wagner, Nick Bellore. Let's see, who else are on here? Crowder, Olamide Zaccheaus. These are just some of the guys, well, actually, it's most of the guys, that they signed in the offseason to bring in on this 1-year deal. And man, did they perform. Think about Noah Brown, $1.2 million, and how good he was for this team. Or Donte Fowler only made $3.25 million, double-digit sacks. That was pretty impressive. Jeremy Chinn was only on a $4.1 million deal. So all these guys came in and were fantastic. But not only do you have the guys who came in who were on these 1-year contracts, you got a couple of veterans in here that their contract is just up. Well, actually, guys like Jamison Crowder, who just signed as well last year, but he's been here. He was here the year before that, a couple of 1-year deals. And of course, he was here in a previous iteration of the team. Or guys like Cornelius Lucas, or even Tress Way. Ooh, all right, so let's get to my top 5. And again, if you don't like my top 5, go ahead and leave a comment or whatever. Let me just give you my honorable mentions first, because you might be like, okay, this dude's crazy. I might have to switch the channel. But hear me out. Hear me out what I have to say and my justification for the top 5. And these honorable mentions, there are a couple of them in the honorable mentions where I'm going to say not only are they not my top 5, but they are in my don't bring them back at all. And I'll give you my justification. The first one, this is a guy you can bring back, but he's not on my top 5 priority to bring back, and that's Tress Way. He's the longest tenured commander. He's been through it all. He was a Redskin. He was a Washington football teamer, and he's now a commander. And he's loved by his teammates. He's loved by the fans. There were a couple of years there in the lean years where he was the MVP of the team. I think his play has slipped a little, but not to the point where you got to just say, we're going to go get somebody better. He's fine. Go ahead and re-sign him. Here's a couple of my other honorable mentions. Don't freak out. Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz was phenomenal this year. He was phenomenal. He was very, very important to Jaden Daniels, not only to the team, but especially Jaden Daniels. He got 66 balls for 654 yards and 7 touchdowns. I mean, the guy balled out. He played in 17 of the 20 games. So he was the 20, including the playoffs. So he was durable for a guy who's been injury prone. In the previous 4 years, he played a total of 34 games. So he's been hurt a lot, and he really hasn't been productive in a couple of years. His numbers, such as his drop percentage, 4.4%, was exactly in line with what he's done with his career. He's got great hands. He knows how to get open. That touchdown that he caught against Atlanta to secure a playoff spot in overtime was a sick catch. Going down and snagging it. That was sick. So, and he's not a yak guy. And I actually looked it up. He had 2.8 yards yak, average yak this year. His career is only 3.1, so he's never been a yak guy. But he did some great things. Here's the problem. Here's why I don't want him back. You drafted Ben Sinnott. You drafted Ben Sinnott in the 2nd round. Ben Sinnott is not some project that you drafted in the 4th or 5th round. Ben Sinnott, I won't say his development was stunted, because anytime you get to sit a rookie year, and he didn't sit, but he didn't play that much either. Anytime you do a lot of sitting in the course of a season behind a stud like Zach Ertz. I mean, Zach Ertz he's probably not borderline Hall of Famer, but he's in the Hall of Very Good. And you sit behind him and you watch how he does his routes. You watch how he communicates with your quarterback. You watch how he blocks. You watch all the little things. You watch how you be a professional on game day and all that. So Ben Sinnott got to do that. Well, now it's time for Ben Sinnott to be that guy. So that's really the biggest reason I don't want Zach Ertz back, because I want Ben Sinnott to get all of those snaps that Zach Ertz has been getting or got all this past year. That's the biggest reason I don't want him back. And also, I'm just afraid that at 35 years old, that Zach Ertz is going to break down. Now, we thought that at 34 years old that he was going to break down, but he didn't. He was very durable this year. So good for him, but he's an honorable mention, meaning that I'm not even putting him in my top 5 and I don't even want him. And Dyami's another one. Dyami's rookie contract is up. He caught 44 balls in 19 games. He played 19 out of 20 games. He caught 44 balls. He caught 29 in his first 3 years combined. So he's obviously improving. He's obviously gotten better because he got his quarterback, a competent quarterback that can get him the ball. Dyami is a team guy. He's a guy that no matter who the quarterback is, he'll be there in the offseason catching balls from that quarterback in California or Arizona or Florida during the offseason. He'll do that every single year. You always see him there. Good for him. He's just not good enough, and here's my proof. They brought in Noah Brown, and Noah Brown was a bigger threat and a bigger target and a bigger part of the game plan than Dyami. They brought in Olamide Zaccheaus. He was a bigger threat. He was a bigger target. He was more part of the game plan than Dyami Brown. They drafted Luke McCaffrey. who they believe is going to be that replacement as wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. As well as he did this year and improved, he still was never part of the game plan. He couldn't beat those guys out. So Dyami is probably, in my opinion, should go. I'm going to bet that you don't have the same guys that I have. And if you are a betting man or a betting woman, then BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, BetOnline is the number one sports betting source for the new year. BetOnline, the game starts here. I haven't even gotten to the top 5 yet, so let's get right to it. Sorry about that. Some of these guys, they bring out great emotion from a season that just blows you away, and you just want to relive all of those moments that Zach Ertz gave you, that Tress Way gave you, that Dyami Brown gave you. So that's why I tend to go on a little bit, but here's the top 5, and you're going to be surprised by this. The number 5 most important guy to re-sign is special teamer Nick Bellore. Nick Bellore was awesome on special teams. Think about this for a second. He had the most tackles in the NFL on special teams. The most. Guess what? In solo tackles. Guess what? He also had the most in assisted tackles. Right? Now look, Washington liked to have their guy return. Right? That was their plan. Keep it in play, make them return it. So he had more opportunities than a lot of teams, but he did the job. He only cost $1.2 million last year. His PFF grades, he was 12th in all special teamers in PFF grading. Take that for what you want. This is a guy you got to bring back. Bring back Nick Bellore. He's my number 5 on priorities. Number 4, don't freak out. Hear me out. Bring back the big fella. 6'8", 327 pounds. Bring back Cornelius Lucas. Cornelius Lucas could not be a better swing tackle. He is exactly what you need. He doesn't cost a lot. And in this season, let me see if I've got Lucas's. He made $2.8 million this past year. That's perfect for a swing tackle, as much time as he got. Remember, he was platooning quite a bit with Brandon Coleman in the beginning of the year. He filled in for Wiley in one of the games that Andrew Wiley missed. And then when Brandon Coleman missed a game or two, it was Cornelius Lucas. He's a guy you can count on. Right tackle, left tackle. It doesn't matter. He's done it year after year after year. He's good for the locker room. He played 40% of the snaps, the offensive snaps. That's a lot for a backup. And nobody ever said, oh, that Cornelius Lucas, he's killing us on the offensive line. You don't want him there for a starter. You want him to do exactly what he did this past year. Fill in where needed. Give Brandon Coleman time to get better. Now, Brandon Coleman's probably going to be the left tackle, the starter, but you need a guy like Cornelius Lucas. He's my number 4 most important re-sign. Number 3, Jeremy Chinn at the safety position. Jeremy Chinn was everything that they hoped that they had gotten when they signed Landon Collins. He's a box safety. In fact, I looked it up, and I don't have the exact numbers, sorry, but he played most of the time he was playing in the box as a safety. He hits hard. He plays hard. He was in on 94% of the snaps. Plus, he played special teams. And here's a stat that I want you to think about for a second. In 2023, the previous season to last year, Washington gave up 8 passing touchdowns over 40 yards. 8 of them. Worst in the league by far. You bring in Jeremy Chinn. You get rid of Cam Curl. I liked Cam Curl, but stats don't lie. They had one time that a team had over 40-yard pass touchdown against Washington this year. Remember how many times 2 years ago when we just saw those big passes over the top and it was always communication, whatever. They didn't make the plays a couple years ago, and with Jeremy Chinn in there, they made the plays. 94% of the snaps that he was in on. He's a sure tackler. Bring back Jeremy Chinn. He's my number 3. Number 2 is a guy I don't think's coming back, but I want him back. And that's quarterback Marcus Mariota. If you watch the show, which you should be doing, I hated the signing of Marcus Mariota. I saw him in enough games that I knew he was not good. And so I said, I hope to never see Mariota play. And the one time I went to training camp this season, before the 24 season, I watched him and he was bad. However, I've completely flipped on Marcus Mariota. He was everything that this coaching staff wanted him to be, needed him to be. Jaden Daniels was a Heisman Trophy winner and a second overall pick, and the franchise fell on his shoulders. Marcus Mariota was a Heisman Trophy winner, was a second overall pick. The franchise was placed on his shoulders. Very similar, but many years prior, almost 10, it was like 8 years prior. So Marcus Mariota can sit there and Jaden Daniels looks at him and says, that dude's got credibility. Whatever he's saying, he's got credibility. They run the same offense that Marcus Mariota was so successful in at times in Tennessee and, of course, in college. So he was very familiar with the offense and what it was trying to do. And he passed on his knowledge and his understanding of football and the business and the locker room, and he passed that on to Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels even said, I could not have had the kind of year I had without Marcus Mariota. That's why I want to bring him back. The problem is Marcus Mariota made $6 million this past year to be the backup, and he came into 2 games, I believe, maybe a little bit more than two games in terms of having to play quite a bit. Was the Carolina game when Jaden got hurt, and then the second half of the Dallas game when they sat down Jaden Daniels because they didn't need that game. But Marcus Mariota took him down the field in the second half and scored threw the game-winning touchdown to Terry McLaurin. And over those 2 games, I mean, he completed 77% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks, 16 rushes for 90 yards, and another touchdown. Exactly what you needed. Love to bring him back. The problem is, I think there are going to be some teams out there are going to give him a lot more than $6 million. A lot more. Teams are going to want him to be their bridge quarterback, or do the same thing. Maybe the Giants draft Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward or whomever, the quarterback, and they're going to want Marcus Mariota to do what he did in Washington to Jaden Daniels and be that mentor. And that's why I'm afraid he's going to go. He's going to get probably double what he got here. Or he can go to another team and be their starter while they keep waiting to find their quarterback. Go out to Vegas or go to, I don't know, New Orleans. I don't know if Derek Carr, what his situation is. Marcus Mariota is my number 2 most important guy to re-sign. Bring him back. Number 1, I think this is kind of easy. This is probably number 1 on everybody's list, Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner, an invaluable leader for this team. He is so incredibly intelligent and so understanding of what it takes to be a professional and to win football games and to be a better defensive unit. You might say that he's lost a step. I would agree with you that he has probably lost a step. He's not as fast sideline to sideline as he used to be, but his intelligence gets him to places that most linebackers don't get to because they don't understand what's going on. And he does it so often. And he is that mentor. He's a mentor to Jaden Daniels on the other side. You remember way back, Nathan brought this up last week, way back in training camp, when he told Sam Cosmi, Sam, when you're lining up, I know when it's going to be a pass or a run because I can tell the way you put your knuckles, your hand in the ground, and what your knuckles are doing. When it's a run play, you get white knuckles because you're digging in, you're ready to go forward. So I just read you like a book. And he told Sam that, and Sam adjusted. It's things like that that are so valuable. But let's not forget what he does on the field as well. He may be a little bit slower, but he played in 98.9% of the snaps. He basically played every single snap in his 13th season, right? How crazy is that Bobby Wagner did that? And not only did that, but he was very successful in terms of he was 11th in tackles. His PFF grade, again, take it for what it's worth, was an 89.9 overall, which was third best among linebackers. Think about that for a second. I mean, some of the stats that you look at, he was the best graded linebacker against the run. I mean, is he slower than he has been? Sure. But also think about this, and the number of tackles that he had. Again, he was 11th in tackles. He had over 120 some odd tackles. Again, he does it all the time. He was a second team All-Pro. He's a Pro Bowler. All of these things. And also he plays special teams. I don't know if you knew that. He had 7, count them, 7 missed tackles all year long. He played in 20 football games and had 7 missed tackles. If Bobby Wagner can get there with his smarts, can get there with his lesser physical prowess, you're going down. You're going down. Sorry about that, but you're going down. So he's my number one guy that the Commanders need to bring back. That's my top 5 list. Let me give you the top 5 list again. Here's the top 5 list of Commanders free agents that I think that they should bring back. Number 5, Nick Bellore, special team ace, did everything right, was number 1 in tackles for special teams. Number 4, Cornelius Lucas, played 40% of the snaps, played left tackle, played right tackles, a perfect swing tackle. Bring him back. Number 3, Jeremy Chinn, completely changed the back end of the defense and didn't allow any of those big plays. He's a big hitter. He makes tackles, makes plays for you. Bring Jeremy Chinn back. Number 2, backup quarterback Marcus Mariota was invaluable to the success of Jaden Daniels and the offense. Bring back quarterback Marcus Mariota. And the number 1 guy to bring back if I'm running the organization, and that's linebacker Bobby Wagner. He is awesome off the field, and he's still got it on the field. If you agree with me, feel free to leave a comment, or if you hate what I had to say, make sure you leave a comment on that as well. We love all comments, but also make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are live every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook. We are doing this top 5 all off season long. We'll be here if there's any news breaking in terms of players signed or players let go or coaches or owners or uniform changes, whatever. We will have an instant podcast to give you all of that information right here on Ref the District. For Nathan and Trevor, I'm the Stoner. We're brought to you by Bet Online and Don't Sleep Energy. And until next time, be a fan.